I'm talking to you guys today from my kitchen. Busy mom with 2 littles, soon to be 3. So we are talking while I'm getting dinner prepped before I have to pick up my kids from daycare. The one thing that has really irritated me recently is hearing and seeing stories of just shoddy, awful prosthetic work. And even worse beyond that, very poor patient care. So several of my prosthetic patients have been referred to me from physical therapists who they're working with that patient. They already have a prosthesis, but there's problems with it. It's not fitting right. They're not happy with the fit and function of the prosthesis. And on top of that, they're having either a hard time getting in touch with the prosthetist, or the prosthetist has just kind of washed their hands of it and really can't be bothered with it. Or if the patient has a hard time coming to the office, they don't offer mobile services. And so that's when oftentimes I'll have PTs reach out to me to see if I can come in, and as long as the patient is on board with it, to take a look at their prosthesis, what's going on, evaluate the patient, evaluate the prosthesis, kind of take a look at what's going on and see if there's something that we can do to make a difference. They're limited in how they can help the patient, and the patient's frustrated because they just want to be able to get back to what they were doing before, which is hard to do with a prosthesis that is ill-fitting. But underlying all those frustrations, one of the common things that I hear throughout all these stories and all the patients that I meet and talk to is that they just don't feel heard. They don't feel like they matter, and they feel like they're just a number, that they're rushed, that the provider is just trying to get them in and out the door, and that they don't really care. It's usually evident within the first few minutes of talking with the patient and talking with the therapist and patient's family members and other caregivers as well, that they're just thankful and relieved to finally be working with somebody who is willing to actively listen to their questions and concerns and genuinely care about them. Patient advocacy is something that I have brought up in other videos, but I just wanted to talk about it explicitly here since it's been coming up so often lately, so that people can be knowledgeable and empowered. Just because a physician refers you to a particular prosthetist or a particular office, or just because somebody sees you in the hospital and fits you with a shrinker or a post-op device, does not mean that you are obligated to that provider or company. I've seen numerous patients struggle with not just an ill-fitting device, but poor quality of care because they feel obligated to stick with that prosthetist or prosthetic provider. And I know it can be difficult, especially for new amputees, because it's not like asking a friend, oh, where do you get your hair done, or what dentist do you go to? Getting fitted for a prosthesis is a little bit more specialized, and you might not have any other amputees that you know of to ask for additional referral sources. So if you are a new amputee or looking for a new prosthetic provider, how do you go about that? I do have a video on the top 5 tips for finding a good prosthetist that you can check out if you're interested. Also, Google search, Facebook search, read reviews of facilities in your area. And if you're getting physical therapy, you can also ask your physical therapist if they have any recommendations. One of my patients, his physician had actually referred him to a different provider, but he asked his physical therapist, who is it that you recommend? Because oftentimes it's the physical therapist who sees the end result and is working with the final prosthesis. And then see if you can find a resource for local amputees in your area that you can ask for additional referral sources. For me, being in the field of prosthetics and making legs is in awesome, amazing career that I love. And I give my very best to every patient that I work with and encounter. And you're gonna find that's the case with most people in this field. They got into it because they are passionate about it and they genuinely care about the people that they're working with. But with anything, with any field, you're gonna have people that don't necessarily have that same viewpoint, that aren't always ethical and don't always make the best decisions with their patient's best interest in mind. So if you are currently struggling with your provider or you're a new amputee, just again, to state it explicitly, know that you have the final say on who you want to work with. And so really be empowered and find somebody that you work well with, and find somebody that is a good fit for you and that is going to have your best interest in mind. I've also been getting a lot of questions lately about the cost of prosthetics, the cost of different prosthetic componentry and liners and things like that. So I'm going to be talking about that in some upcoming videos, and we'll also talk about how I as a prosthetist get paid, because it's a little weird and a little different, and it will shed some light onto why some of these unethical things happen and why there is oftentimes poor follow-up care. But I wish you guys the best, and I will see you next time.